Nathan Gill, MEP for Wales. Please give him a big hand.
So, no pressure then. I just wanted to point this out. I contemplated asking for Elton John's song "I'm Still Standing" to be played. And then I thought, actually, Chumbawamba's I get knocked down and then I get up again. Yeah, I'm honoured to be here. This is the first opportunity I've had to speak to conference since our historic win in the Welsh Assembly elections, and since our even more historic and just most amazing win of the referendum. Can you hear me now? Yes. There we go. I shall just reiterate that then. So this is the first opportunity I've had to speak here at conference since our historic win in the Welsh Assembly elections. And I appreciate that many of you are aware of a little bit of turmoil that's been going on in the Principality, to say the least. I was elected as a MEP in 2014, and when I knew I had won, I turned to my wife and I said, I have just been given a front row seat to history. I didn't realize it was only going to take 2 years. I don't think anybody did. I've had some amazing experiences and some absolutely wonderful opportunities over these last few years. I started in UKIP 12 years ago. I was just a foot soldier, somebody who believed in the cause, went to my branch meetings, sometimes raised my eyebrows at some of the things that were being said, but realized that ultimately we were all kin. We all had the same direction, desire, belief, and hope for this, our great nation. And I wanted to be a part of that. And I freely gave of my time and my skills and my abilities, and somehow over the years, I rose and rose within UKIP and found myself in an opportunity to really make a difference for the party in Wales. And I did that solely and utterly because I believed wholeheartedly that Wales would vote to leave the EU. I knew it. I had much, much better things to be doing with my time than driving all over Wales at my own expense for the purpose of setting up branches, meeting with and supporting people and giving that positive 100% vision that we're going to do it. But I did it because I knew that somehow, we were going to do it. Now, in the 2009 European elections, John Bufton gave me the huge task of being the campaign manager. I'd never really done anything like this before, but I had common sense and I believed that you had to organize things and get people motivated. Now, during that campaign, we had about 12 activists throughout the whole of Wales. 12 people. And we would literally go and leaflet and campaign in one village for an hour or so. We'd jump in the car, drive 20 miles, do it again, and we just hopped all over Wales doing all of these activities. And of course, the opposition thought we had this huge army that were going out there. It was early days, things were going to improve. And I always remember watching the TV and the Labour MEP who didn't win the seat, because they had 2 seats prior to this, she was complaining, saying, well, because of the expenses scandal, we weren't able to get our activists out, but UKIP, they were able to motivate all of their members. And I was like, yeah, right. And I think back to those wonderful heady days of everything when certain things happen and you think, wasn't it much easier and happier? But there we are. In the 2014 campaign, we just did the most amazing thing. We either came first or second in every single local region within Wales, in each of the counties. And we came second by only 5,400 votes to Labour. We did a phenomenal job. And of course, that was down to the fact that by then we did have a big army of helpers. Nigel was on the TV all the time. And I myself was able to get quite a lot of TV. I think in the first week I had more television and radio than John Buffon was able to get in the 4 or 5 years he had as an MEP. So we did some amazing things, and we raised the profile, and we changed and we challenged what people's perception of UKIP was. We were not an army of angry old men. We were an army of decent men and women who just believed in our country. That's it. Be all and end all. Nothing more to it. And we just wanted our children and our grandchildren to have a free nation in the same way that we had. Well, in the general election campaign, we actually increased our vote. I mean, it was just unbelievable. We got more votes in the general election than we did in the European Union election, which was our election. And again, it was because we challenged those perceptions. We let people know and understand that, no, this is who we are. We are just proper, decent, regular people. And that's what we did. That was our aim, our target. That's what we focused on, challenging those false perceptions of who we are and what we were standing for. Of course, we then also was promised the referendum. And so I could see now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train coming towards me. This is, we're going to do this. We're going to win. We had our Welsh Assembly elections, and despite all of the internal wranglings and problems that we had, we made history. We were the first party to break into the Welsh Assembly. And that was a phenomenal achievement. It really was. But I actually have the humility to understand that it wasn't because of me that I was elected. It was because of Nigel Farage. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody's got an opinion on him. Mind the gap? Do I get any extra time for this? I think Nigel would say you couldn't make it up, could you? Well, there we go. Right, I've completely forgotten what the heck I was saying. In any case, I'm humble, And yes, I've probably got a lot to be humble about. And I realized that I got 2 votes because of me, my mum and my wife. Everybody else voted because of the party name and because of Nigel Farage and because of what he did. And I do claim a slight bit. I must claim a slight bit of, I did go through the hell of all of the TV debates and all of where they brought the cameras in and filmed you cooking in your kitchen and interviewed you and all of that kind of stuff. It was very surreal and bizarre, let me tell you. But we did it. We did it because we had this voice. We were the only people who could speak to Conservatives and Labour and Plaid and all the rest of them, and that they were willing to vote for. And we did it because we had that presentation to them. People would say to me, you're nothing like what we thought UKIPers were going to be like. And isn't that a wonderful thing? I think it is. Because, of course, the only thing that they thought that we were like this for was because of what the media told them we were like, and, of course, it was completely untrue. I truly, truly believe in my country. I mean, I really do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be in America. My wife's an American. I'd be over there, you know. The weather's way better. You can go skiing in the winter. Phenomenal. It's great, but there's nowhere better than this land. And I've been all over, so I can actually say that hand on heart. I've seen it, I know. And there's nobody better than the British people. I remember once I was in America for 3 months, and I was visiting my sisters who were over there. And when I came back, so the first flight, full of Americans, second flight, I could hear at the back of the plane that Scouser accent. And normally I'd be like, you know, no offense. But it was like an angel singing to me, to hear a British accent after so long. It was so lovely to be home. And that's why I got up in the morning at 4 o'clock and got in my car and drove 6 hours to do a 10-minute radio interview in Cardiff, and then drove the 4.5 hours back again. Because we've got a message to give. We've got a story to tell, and we've got a nation that was worth fighting and sacrificing for. And quite frankly, I can't tell you how honoured I am to have been given a role and a part in this. And in the referendum campaign, I was campaigning in Llandudno, which some of you will know because we had our conference there. And I was stood at the stall, and this older gentleman walked by, and as he walked by, he goes, "You should know better at your age." And I said, "You don't know how old I am." And so he turned around and he came back to have a go. He said, "Do you know anything at all about Europe?" I said, "Yes, I'm an MEP." He then said, "Yes, but when was the last time you went to the Somme?" I said, "I was there yesterday." He went, "Oh," he realized he was not going to win. I was first of all, I was asked to, when I voted in the referendum, if the BBC could come and vote me. Could come and video me and film me for their news articles. And as I was walking in, this lovely little Welsh couple came up to me. They were coming out, and they stopped me. And the gentleman grabbed hold of my hand and held it like this. He said, I just want you to know that I just voted to leave the EU. And I said, "Well, thank you very much, but you didn't do it for me, you did it for our nation, didn't you?" And he said, "I'm a member of Plaid Cymru, and I did it because I want Wales to leave the United Kingdom." And I was like, thank you very much. But at that point, I knew we were going to do it in any case. I had faith we were going to do it. But that faith turned to knowledge. Because at that point, I knew, if Plaid Cymru are voting for us to leave the EU, we've got this. And I was in my car driving to London. I was very lucky. I was invited to be at the hub of everything that was happening with Nigel on the night for the count. And I was driving down and I was analysing myself. And I was like, I don't feel nervous. I don't feel anxious. I was listening to the news. I was thinking about the election. I was as calm as a summer's day. And I thought, yeah, we've definitely got this. And then as the results were coming in, it was just the most surreal and wonderful experience. And the very first thing I did when I got there, I was called to do an interview for Irish TV. And as I was doing the interview, there was this huge hubbub going on, like an explosion of journalists all running around and pointing to their iPads. And the journalist who was interviewing me live said, "Oh, Nigel Farage, your leader, has just conceded defeat. Do you concede defeat?" And I said, "No. Wales is going to vote to leave the EU, and Britain is going to vote to leave the EU. Wait and see." And of course, that's exactly what happened. I went to the event, and it became clear about 3 o'clock, 3:30 that we'd definitely done it. And then Nigel and a few of us went to a quiet house where he just needed to, contemplate and think before he made this big, huge speech before the world media. And I was in an ante-room with him, and it was just the two of us. And he was there just, I don't think he was praying, but he could have been. And I said, "Nigel," and he looked up, and I said, "Nigel, do you realize that you have just overthrown a British government?" And then I said, "And to boot, the EU as well." And he looked up and said, "Yes, I have, haven't I?" What a man, what a man. I mean, the word hero is bounded around way too liberally in this country, and I'm sure other countries of the world. You see these footballers, they're not heroes. They get paid too much to be heroes. I have but one political hero, and that is Nigel Farage, a man who... A man who I decided very early on, if I want to be successful in politics and get our country back, get behind Nigel. And that's exactly what I did. I chose that I would back Nigel, come what may. And I was one of his loyalist lieutenants, certainly in Wales. And I now am here to say to you that we have a new leader, Diane James, and I am so grateful that the membership of this party made the correct decision and voted for her. And my message to all of us at this time in our party's juncture is very, very clear. We get behind our leader and we go forward and we become the official opposition, or we argue and we split and we think it's about us and we think it's about how much media time I get or whatever the silly things are, and we fail and we fade away into the party. Do you remember that party? Let's get behind our leader. Let's unite and let's become the official opposition in Great Britain. And as I pointed out to a journalist last night, we're UKIP. We like to set ourselves big challenges. We decided that we were going to overthrow the EU and get Britain to leave. Almost job done, but we're going to do it. We're now going to become the official opposition. Thank you ever so much, conference.